Everything that is important for skin aging is important for your overall health. If you're feeling every day that your skin is like dry, your skin barrier is compromised.
We know our health can have an impact on our skin, but could the condition of our skin actually impact our health and lifespan? Well, increasingly evidence points to that as we begin to understand better the signs of how damaged skin can have a domino effect in the body, accelerating aging and increasing our risk of disease. Here to discuss what we know about the impact of skin health on our wider health and what we can do about it is scientist Alessandra Zonari. She's the co-founder and chief scientific officer of the female-led skincare company OneSkin, and with degrees in biology and stem cell biology and a doctorate in skin regeneration and tissue engineering, she's one of the best people around to educate us on the link between our skin and our health. Alessandra, thank you so much for joining me all the way from San Francisco.
Yes, thank you, Claire, for having me here today. I'm very excited for this conversation.
I was looking back, it was almost 2 years ago that I interviewed your co-founder, Carolina. I really enjoyed that conversation, and she sort of explained how and why you put OneSkin together as a team of female scientists. And we talked a bit about the proprietary peptide that you've developed as well. So that's going to be linked below in the description for anyone who's interested in the background story behind your business, because it's a really interesting one. But today, I wanted to follow up with you on an article that you posted, and I spotted it when I was reading your newsletter, and I just leapt on the topic because it's something that I've touched on to some extent on the channel, but really wanted to go deeper on it. But this is an emerging theory, so finding the right person. And when I saw that you had been researching this, I was like, I have to have this conversation. And it is, of course, how the health of our skin can impact our wider health. And you have some fascinating insight around this, which I'm looking forward to exploring. Where I wanted to start first, if you don't mind, so that we can have some context around which we can kind of dig into this, is the biology of skin aging and the basics of what happens to our skin as it ages.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this subject, and it's very fascinating when we start to realize that the skin is way more than our appearance, and it's really playing a role on our overall health. So the skin is an organ like our heart, liver, lungs, and has important functions to our body. It's a protective layer that's protecting our internal body from all the external stressors. It's also protecting us of like not dehydrating, continue like the temperature balance. So it's really important that this organ is functioning well throughout aging, so your body keeps strong internally. And when we are aging, not only on the skin or all our organs, there are changes that happens, genetic changes that happens throughout time that makes the cells to accumulate damage inside. On the skin specifically, we're also accumulating a lot of damage on our cellular level from UV radiation, pollution, and other things that are coming from the external factor. From the external environment. And those changes leads to DNA damage in the cell, and the cell can start like not functioning normally anymore. So when this happens, when the cell starts to accumulate damage, they stop dividing and they secrete inflammation. So with aging, we start to accumulate cells that are not normal anymore, that stop dividing and are secreting inflammation. Usually when we are young, our body is very good on clearing out those cells, but when we are getting older, they start accumulating, and the inflammation that they release start deteriorating the tissue surrounding. So on the skin, this excess of like inflammation increasing with aging leads to collagen degradation, leads to dysfunction on the skin barrier. And as a result, you start to see your skin sagging, wrinkling, the skin barrier sometimes like bringing more redness, itching to your skin. So these are all changes that you start to perceive because you can see your skin differently from other organs. But what is happening is that changes at the cellular level, it's occurring, and they are leading to those visible signs of aging.
It's fascinating. And I want to dig in now to how that relates to our wider health, because where I started on this, there was an excellent article in the New Scientist, which I'm going to link for viewers below as well. And it explored the theory that there was a link between skin health and our wider health, a more serious link than we had first anticipated. And it highlighted multiple studies linking skin barrier damage, kind of damage you were talking about there, with a higher incidence of age-related health conditions like cardiovascular disease and even muscle loss. And I think other studies have shown that people in middle age with atopic dermatitis, for instance, were more likely to have signs of cognitive decline. So, I mean, you've been looking at this. What does your own research tell us about the link between skin health and our wider health?
Yeah, this connection, this link of skin health and overall health is actually like a topic that I was not super. I've been researching skin since 2010 from my PhD, and that I'm on the field, I was not super aware. And it kind of like blows our mind when we start realizing that it makes sense. The skin is our largest organ, so and has this protective main function. And when the skin barrier that's giving this protective layer to your skin start to become damaged, you are exposing your skin to have more inflammation in your body. And because of the large size of this tissue and the continuous inflammation that this can be coming, it can really contribute to what they call the inflammaging, the accumulation, the overall accumulation of inflammatory cytokines in our body. And now we are more aware, the studies, that with aging, and why when we cross the line of 65 years old, we are more prone to develop those chronic diseases related to aging. Part of it is because our body is accumulating this inflammation. So inflammation is coming from everywhere, and the skin, as the largest organ, is being shown to be a contributor for this inflammation. So all of this knowledge is just like, it was making a lot of sense with the research that we started doing on OneSkin, on like addressing the senescent cells that secrete inflammation on the skin. So in our lab, we started to see that if we use molecules that reduce the burden caused by senescent cells in the skin, meaning the inflammation that the senescent cells are releasing, you can see a stronger skin barrier being produced on those skins in the lab. So we started to see that on our research, that when you target senescent cells, an end result is that the skin produces a stronger skin barrier, produce more collagen. It's like strengthening the skin function. And we started to run then clinical studies. And our first clinical study was a split phase clinical study to show like how this novel molecule it's impacting the skin. So we did split phase, full formula on one side, and formula only without the peptide on the other side. And what we saw was that an improvement of the skin barrier function was only seen in the side that contained the peptide. So our research was showing that a molecule that's targeting the senescent cells can improve the skin barrier function. So later on, what we continued researching was what would be this impact if we treat the whole body with a product that contained this molecule. So we enrolled participants 60 years over, so a demographic that the skin is already more compromised. And we split in two groups. One received a control formula that does not contain our peptide, it's more a moisturizer, and then other group with our formulas containing our OS1 peptide. And what we saw after 3 months, 12 weeks, was that the participants that were in our group, they improved their skin barrier function more significantly than the other group. The hydration of the skin was superior as well. The whole overall appearance of the skin was improved. And we measured the cytokine levels before they start using the products and after 3 months. Meaning we took a blood sample and we looked to how is the inflammatory profile of those participants. And what we saw after 12 weeks was that the group that was using OS1 products had controlled the levels of inflammation, and even some of the markers was significantly decreased. While the other group, these levels of inflammation was not stabilized and was even increasing to some extent. So this was very promising and encouraging, so reinforcing some of these theories and other works that have been published that shows that when you have a stronger skin barrier, you are actually benefiting your internal body to be reducing this inflammation, this accumulation of inflammation. And this accumulation of inflammation inside our body can drive dementia, can drive bone loss, can drive muscle loss. So there is now more awareness that when we're taking care of our skin, it's not only for our appearance, which is good. We want to look good and feel good, but it's also a way of you to enhance the health of your body, which is very exciting.
Well, what I find so interesting about it as well is that, you know, as somebody who explores healthy aging, but also skin health and the appearance of our skin as we age, you know, I will have a lot of people who say, oh, for goodness sake, just let gravity take its course. You're gonna age, accept the wrinkles. You know, why are you being so vain? And I've just always sort of had this feeling of everything being interconnected, or, you know, our muscles, bones, skin. I've just always felt that it has to be a sort of top to toe approach, but this is sort of lending some science to it. What we're now kind of saying is, look, taking care of our skin is not just a kind of vanity exercise. You begin to realize there's a seriousness to that debate about how best to protect our skin, because it's not just this wrapper that we want to make look pretty. It has very, very important function. What I'm hearing from you is that age-damaged skin is a contributor, and because it's a large organ, if you have a lot of age-damaged skin head to toe, it could be quite a significant contributor to age-related disease because of these inflammatory cytokines. And are they released into the bloodstream from our skin? I mean, how does that work? How do they get around the body?
The increase of inflammation that's happening on your skin, there is blood flow on the dermal layer of our skin, so it's connecting with the bloodstream as well. So if you have more like cytokines being released on the skin, this will also like be released to our blood flow as well. And one thing that I wanted to touch base that you said now, like of the appearance of the skin, should I have wrinkles, let the wrinkles appear or not?
Yes.
It's very important to mention that, for instance, when you use Botox and you don't have wrinkles, right? This is improving the appearance of your skin. So the fact that your skin is just like paralyzed and not showing any wrinkles does not mean that the skin is healthy. So there are two different things as well that goes together, but not always. There are things that we can do to our skin that will just make them look more smooth and make the wrinkles diminish, but not necessarily you're improving the skin barrier function, not necessarily you're targeting like the causes of skin aging. So if you only do like a procedures that makes you like just erase those wrinkles without taking care of the health of your skin, you maybe still be looking young with an old skin. So it's
Yeah.
important like either to put them together if you like you want very like this appearance of no wrinkles, but for those that want more natural aging, even if you are like using products that are targeting, you will still have some loss, and the skin will aging is a normal process. It will change. It will not stay the same as when you were 20 years old. And
Yeah.
it is okay. What we want is that that skin, although it's not the same as 20 years old, is still healthy, still protective. And the consequence, it will improve the appearance, but it will not also like bring back to 20 years old. So sometimes like for those that, oh, I want to look younger, I don't like this, the wrinkles, you can associate with other procedures that are not targeting the skin aging on the root causes, but it's like helping on the appearance. And if that makes you feel good about yourself, it's very positive as well, because how you feel about yourself is also impacting your overall health. So I think like for everyone, there is a solution for those that want to have more natural appearance. You can reduce those procedures and make sure you're using things that are helping on your skin barrier function, on like targeting root cause of aging. And for those that like, no, I like to look that appearance better, try always to remember to associate like procedures and products, and remember to like really be targeting root causes of skin aging, improving the skin barrier, and thinking about the function of that skin to be a strong skin barrier.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that we could maybe pick up apart in a little moment as well.
Yeah.
I did just want to clarify for people what the major signs of a compromised skin barrier is. I mean, what are some of the more troubling signs?
Yeah, so usually it shows as it can start with some redness and itching, flaking. When your skin is peeling or flaking, it's an obvious way of seeing that the skin barrier is compromised. The appearance of aged spots, more dark spots on your skin is also showing not the skin barrier is compromised, but you are accumulating damage inside of your skin. A lot of times, most of the times associated with UV exposure. But in terms of the skin barrier, when the skin starts to become thinner, red, itching, flaky, these are all signs that the skin barrier is compromised.
And in terms of wrinkling and elasticity, loss of elasticity, which are also signs of sun damage, and we know that the sun kind of breaks down our skin in that way. I mean, that happens with age, no getting around it. The wrinkles, they come, and you're talking about as long as the underlying health is good. If we've lost a lot of elasticity in our skin, is that concerning in and of itself, or are we really just looking at the kind of underlying irritation? I'm guessing skin thinness as we get to a certain point.
Yeah, so when we have wrinkles, it's also a result of the dermal layer, like a lot of collagen breakdown on your skin, that's leading like to the sagging, and then the wrinkles start to appear. And it's all connected on the skin. When you have collagen breakdown, you're also like impairing the barrier function, and they communicate with each other. But what I'm saying is that when you already have wrinkles, you probably also have already some collagen loss on that skin. And if you're treating the underlying causes of skin aging, you will start like slowing down this collagen breakdown and like protecting, creating a better skin barrier. But sometimes it's hard to completely reverse and build up all that collagen that was lost, so that wrinkles would completely, or that sagging would completely reverse and come back. So
Yeah.
sometimes, even though the skin is a little bit sagging and have wrinkles, you can still be proactive and try to have a strong skin barrier and reduce the breakdown of this collagen, so it will slow down the appearance of novel wrinkles. But it's very, what I'm saying is like, it's not possible to completely bring back the skin on the collagen level, just targeting the age, at least for now, targeting the root cause of aging. You will not reverse completely, but that skin will be stronger, will be producing more collagen if you are reducing the inflammation of the skin. So you will see like improvement in the texture and in the appearance of those wrinkles. But sometimes it does not reverse completely all the wrinkles depending on the stage of life that you are. And this doesn't mean that the skin is being now stronger and helping your body.
Beyond sun damage, which we talked about, and I think most of us are aware that that is a big driver of skin aging. Other lifestyle factors like poor diets that are lacking in whole foods, essential nutrients, fiber, smoking, drinking too much alcohol. I mean, these are some of the factors that we know play a part, pollution and so on, in prematurely aging our skin. But what are some of the lesser known factors?
Yeah, some of other factors, you mentioned a lot of like your diet influence, but processed sugar can influence a lot the skin aging, because when you eat a lot of like processed sugar, you can spike glucose levels on your body, and this glucose can be start to link with proteins, with collagen in the skin, and this start like breaking down the function of the collagen. So processed sugar, a lot of sugar, can be driving and influencing the skin aging process.
It's really annoying that.
It's
As a
really
chocolate
annoying.
lover, every time I put a piece in my mouth, I'm thinking about my skin and the effect on my health, and it really takes the joy out of it, I can tell you.
But I will tell you, it's not all like bad. It's just like there are even some hacks, because what's bad is when you spike the level of glucose of sugar. So if you eat a piece of cake on an empty stomach, this will drive a lot of glucose level, which is bad. But if you had like your meal first and then the piece of cake after, you can help balancing, and you will not spike that much the glucose.
Yes.
There's also another hack that before eating something sweet, if you drink some water with vinegar, you also help not producing that spike of glucose. So it's not that you need to eliminate 100% of the sugar. There's pleasure there. And it's also important like to feel good
Yeah.
and have pleasure with things that we eat. But of course, like being very aware on the amounts and how you're eating this sugar to avoid the like glucose spike, that can help you on skin aging. And other factors like sleeping. Sleeping is important for everything on our health. It's the time where your body is restoring, removing all the toxins and really like resetting the cells. So when you don't sleep well, and if you're accumulating a lot of like a lifetime of not sleeping well, you're damaging not only your skin, but all your body. So the sleep is also very important for skin aging. Everything that is important for skin aging is important for your overall health. So even being on a good mindset, control, like feeling good about yourself, having purpose on your life, having a community around you, surrounding, like taking care of your mental health, it will impact your overall health and will impact your skin somehow as well.
Are certain skincare products an issue, do you think? 'Cause I always think that dryness in particular is the enemy of skin. And I noticed that when I was kind of overusing, sort of washing my face and going too harsh and hard with some of the skincare actives, I ended up with quite dry skin and just turned my whole kind of ethos around to create a skincare routine that is all about hydration and maintaining and improving the hydration of my skin. Are there any particular types of products that you think can damage the skin barrier?
It's very important, like to be careful when you're using exfoliation products, things that exfoliate your skin. They are good for your skin if you're using correctly, but if you use too much product that removes all that top layer of your skin, you're actually exposing and having a weaker skin barrier. So too much of exfoliation or products that cause too much of that cell turnover, that cannot be beneficial to your skin because you're exposing the skin barrier.
So that's
One
sort of the
product,
acid and physical
yeah,
exfoliants.
acid, physical peelings, chemical peelings, they can help because they induce some acceleration. They clean your skin and induce acceleration of cell turnover, and this can be beneficial, but you cannot overdo that. You cannot be doing every single day, otherwise you're not giving time for your skin to recover and to build that strong barrier again.
And signs of overdoing it, sorry to interrupt you there, but just to help people connect the dots, because I think sometimes when people listen and think, oh gosh, what is overdoing it? I always think, well, signs of overdoing it is that very dryness, redness, irritation that we talked about, but dryness, if that's a constant, you get out the shower and your face is, stretched like mine used to be, that's a sign that you're overdoing it.
Exactly. There's like the first one is this dryness, this first sign. And then if it starts becoming red, itching, flaking, peeling, this is even like stronger. You should stop completely and let your skin recover. So even, for instance, retinol is widely used and it can induce cell turnover for people that have sensitive skin. So when you start using retinol, there is this effect of like promoting some peeling and some redness. There are some people that have sensitive skin that they do not overcome that phase, and
Yeah.
they're always having that effect from retinol. For those people, the retinol, they're not getting the most benefit of retinol. They're actually like keeping the skin always in this weak condition where the skin barrier is compromised, and this is not good. So any product that you're using that it constantly gives you peeling, redness, and don't overdo that. Don't continue using, take breaks, let the skin recover. And as you said, if you're feeling every day that your skin is like dry, your skin barrier is compromised.
Yeah.
So even the washing, we always, at least for me, it's very important to clean your skin. For instance, at the end of the day, I use sunscreen, sometimes a little bit of foundation. I go out, I'm exposed a lot to pollution, to different things. So at night, clean well your skin, do your skincare routine. But if you're going to bed and then waking up, you don't need to use like a cleanser again. You can sometimes just like wash with water, because otherwise you can be removing. So your skin during the night was trying to recover and produce some oils that are important to keep that skin barrier. And then you wake up and you clean and you exfoliate again.
That's like, oh, I'm going to have to start over again.
Yeah, not to start over. No. You can skip that intense cleansing in the morning. But yes, when you have like a lot of products or makeup and things like that, it's important to clean up your skin. So it's just like being aware, not over cleaning your skin and not using too much products continuously, that is creating this dryness or this peeling effect on your skin.
I wondered what you thought about the idea of kind of resetting the skin through a more aggressive treatment. So, for instance, I spoke a while back with an aesthetic doctor who uses quite an aggressive laser treatment, and he was saying that it produced horrendous peeling and swelling for a couple of weeks, and then his patients would see what appeared to be a big improvement in skin health, that the pigmentation and wrinkling and so on was much improved. The sun damage, external sun damage, appeared to be much improved. A little bit similarly, discussing use of tretinoin with an aesthetic doctor, her theory was kind of use something like that for 3 to 6 months to again help with some of the damage to our skin. and then you can kind of scale it back, go to something gentler or use it less frequently or whatever, which seemed to me to be quite a sensible approach rather than going hard at it long term. Do you think that a reset to skin using something a little bit more aggressive, like a laser treatment, or just going all out with something like tretinoin or Retin-A for a period of time can be helpful?
I think so. Resetting, if you don't overdo, like I think like sometimes our body likes to receive some damage challenge to kind
Yeah.
of like wake up, you know. So a little bit of damage can be beneficial to your skin. It will like renew, like reset. But if you're continuously having that over time, then it's not good. Those very like aggressive feeling, they scares me a lot.
With the laser treatment, yeah. I don't know if I would be brave enough, but
Yeah, but they can have like a positive
mm,
result. And if you do once, I don't know, in a while, you shouldn't be overdoing this all the time because then you're weakening, you're
mhm.
like exhausting kind of your skin,
Yeah,
like forcing too much. It can have some benefits if you do it correctly. All those treatments can have benefits, and you challenging your skin a little bit. There are benefits of retinol, even if you have a little bit of that peeling dryness for a period of time. That's okay. The thing is, if you continue keeping that, then you're not going to see the benefits. You
yeah.
are also creating a condition that's not favorable.
Absolutely. So that's the point where you could think about scaling back, dropping down in strength, trying a different retinoid or whatever. I use a retinaldehyde, but just about 3 times a week, and that seems to be the sweet spot for me, where it doesn't tend to overly dry out my skin, but I still think I've got the benefits in terms of particularly skin smoothing. I think I can see the difference in fine lines and so on. So it's just finding that sweet spot for each of us, isn't it?
It's all about like identifying what works better, like the timing to your skin to make sure you're having the benefit, as you're saying, of the smoothness, but without having that constantly peeling or redness.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess to put it in basic terms, what we're talking about here is short-term inflammation not being a particular problem can be quite good for us. With the skin, we're talking about kind of resetting. But if it's long-term, ongoing, because I think a lot of people think that kind of constant purging could be quite a good thing. You know, it's getting rid of the wrinkles and it's zapping them. And but that long-term inflammation can be bad not only for our skin, but now we believe can have a potential knock-on health effect. Not to scare people, but you know, this is just. I
Yeah,
guess it's kind of common sense when we're joining the dots here, isn't it?
exactly. Exactly. You said perfectly.
Well, that's the first. My husband will be editing that. He'll be like, God, she said something perfectly. Sunscreen.
Yes.
We touched on that, but I mentioned I have quite a few viewers who've come over the years and said, oh, they don't use a lot of sunscreen because they're worried about the chemicals in them and so on. I use a physical sunscreen. You have a fantastic physical sunscreen in your product range. Why do you go for a physical over a chemical?
Yeah. So when we are always at OneSkin very concerned about safety. And when we were like going to choose how would be made this sunscreen, we chose to use a physical sunscreen because there's no side effect described in the literature about using a physical sunscreen. So we chose that route. Chemical sunscreen, not to say that they are completely bad, because they are not. There are some studies, and you need to look to these studies to understand, like that showed that that chemical can get on your bloodstream. But when you look to the amount of product that was applied to get to that level, it's amount that usually you wouldn't use on your daily base. So I wouldn't say that using a chemical sunscreen would necessarily be bad for your health. But when we were choosing, we always prefer to go through more safe routes. And the physical has other benefits as well. We use non-nano zinc oxide, that's also like anti-inflammatory. So we decided to go through the route of the physical, and we're able to develop a formula that it's very gentle and goes super well, spreads super well on the skin, because it's also very important that it's sunscreen you need to use. The best sunscreen is that one that you can apply on your skin and forget that you have it and feel good about it. So if you have only like physical sunscreen that creates that paste of white cast on your skin, yeah, you don't want to use. So it's not pleasant to use as well. So we managed to get to a very nice formula with a physical sunscreen. And we also combine powerful blends of antioxidants, our peptides. So it's really a formula that is protecting from sun damage, but it's also nurturing your skin. But the main reason was to go more on the safe route and not to say that chemical is always like the enemy. The best sunscreen is the one you use, because especially when you are, depending where you are geographically in the globe, depending on the time of the year, summer, it's like depending on the time of the day, if you're exposed to sun that has too much UV index and you're not protected, you're not getting benefits of that sun. If you're creating sunburns, you're damaging your skin. In the long term, this is not good.
You mentioned the peptide in your sunscreen there. This is something that Carolina and we talked about a couple of years back. But just a sort of refresher on, she talked about the accumulation of senescent cells in the skin. Mm-hmm. So those sort of damaged cells, and the use of peptides to help sort of counter that. How is that working in our skin?
So with aging and with UV and sun damage, what happens to our cells is that they damage the DNA. That cells stop like dividing and secrete inflammation, and that inflammation leads to the signs of skin aging. Is also contributing to the overall inflammation on our skin and body. So what we have developed with our peptide is a molecule that can reduce the inflammation that is being secreted by these senescent cells and promote a healthier environment. So you start having fibroblasts producing more collagen, you have a stronger skin barrier, and you are like counteracting this accumulation of novel damage. So even in the lab, we see that when we expose skin to UV, you increase the number of like senescent cells. So the damage coming from the UV induced the formation of more of this senescent, we also call zombie cells. And the peptide, what it's doing is avoiding this formation, this accumulation of novel senescent cells, novel zombie cells.
And is that because it's signaling? That's the way I think about peptides and so on, is like sort of cell messengers, cell signals. Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, the peptide, when it enters the cell, it activates signalings to repair the DNA damage and to reduce the inflammation. So it's a messenger of like helping your skin to activate the repair machinery inside of the skin, so it repairs damage, reduces inflammation, and avoid that the healthy cells become the senescent cells that are secreting a lot of inflammation. So it's avoiding the formation and the accumulation of those senescent cells in the skin.
The use of peptides and growth factors and so on in skincare, that is definitely an area to watch, and a very exciting area. And of course, you and the team are at the forefront of that. I am mindful that not everyone can afford premium skincare, and they'll be thinking, what can I do that's not going to cost me a lot of money to help tackle skin aging and keep my skin healthy? So for that, just that basic skincare routine, we talked about washing there, which is really useful, and not overusing exfoliants or retinoids, other skincare actives, if they're going to cause you to have dry skin. That being very key. Sunscreen. Anything else they could be doing to help their skin?
So keeping your skin moisturized is very important. So using a good moisturizer it will maintain the moisture on your skin. Wearing sunscreen, especially when you're going to be exposed to a lot of sun, in particular times of the day, protect from the sun damage. I think and cleaning from the pollution, cleaning at night, moisturizing. These are the essentials to be done in a preventative way. When you already accumulated a lot of damage, this moisturizing and protecting from using sunscreen will help, but will not reverse that damage that was present on the skin. So for that time, you will need to use something that is helping targeting those signs of aging that's already there. Retinols, having something like our OS1 peptide, having other peptides that will not only moisturize, but will induce your cells, incentivize your cells to renew and to produce a stronger skin barrier. That will be important as well.
Wonderful. That's a good positive note to finish on there. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I just feel like I've crept a bit further forward with my understanding of this link between skin and our wider health. Fascinating conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. I hope everyone enjoyed as well.
Really interesting stuff there from Alessandra. You'll find linked below a couple of related videos that you'll likely be interested in if you enjoyed this conversation, including how I improved the underlying health and hydration of my own skin, and an episode I recorded on some of the low-cost ways to rejuvenate your skin. You'll also find related links and information below about OneSkin if you want to find out more. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic in the comments and what you took from this discussion. You'll find more advice and information from me around how to age well, look and feel good for longer on my website, honest.scot. And there's a link below to where you can sign up to my free monthly newsletter where I round up my latest content so you don't miss a thing. You'll find links there too to my social pages, podcast, and how to become a channel member too for those interested in accessing extra content from me on YouTube. But for now, thanks for being here today.